Hello, welcome to Dead End Street. I'm Al. We are here to continue our Albums of the Year series. We are moving on to 1988. Um, Kind of a mixed year. It was a little bit tough trying to find 25 albums, but we found some really good ones, I think. So let's jump right into it. So at number 25, we're going to have Red Temple Spirits with Dancing to Restore an Eclipsed Moon. Um, it's a very good debut record by a very short-lived LA-based post-punk band. Upon re-listening to it, you can hear elements of The Cure, The Doors, um, maybe even Christian Death, being from the West Coast. It's a pretty unique sound. Uh, the dry production gives it a very uneasy texture, which makes it sound like it was recorded almost live, which there may not be a lot of overdubs from listening to it. And there's tons of Evo, which for me is always a plus. Number 24 is going to be Balaam and the Angel with Live Free or Die. This is a former post-punk kind of goth group that obviously took a cue from the Cult's detour into rock. Um, they even have their former producer that they worked with on their Love record. There's a bunch of cool songs on here, and they have just enough alt rock slant to give it that credibility jolt, you know. Um, I Love the Things You Do to Me was a great single, along with I Would Die for You and Running Out of Time are all really good tracks. Number 23 is going to be the Pogues with If I Should Fall from Grace with God. So I guess it's safe to say that the Pogues are kind of the definition of Celtic punk, if there is a such thing. However, this record's a bit more daring. It has some of Shane MacGowan's best lyrics, I think, on this record. Now, of course, this is the record that has Fairy Tale of New York, which is an excellent song, of course. But for me, it's always going to be about Thousands Are Sailing and Streets of Sorrow, my two favorite songs on the record. Number 22 is going to be Outside the Gate by Killing Joke. This is a very different record for Killing Joke. Jazz and Geordie allegedly wrote the songs using gematria, which sounds about right for Jazz and Geordie, right? But Paul and Raven left the group during the recording of the album, um, and the fan base was split at best on this record. I think Jazz's vocals are great on here. There's some great riffs by Geordie, and overall, I think the record's better than its fate. Number 21 is going to be Art Attack by Marty Wilson Piper of The Church, his first solo record. So for those who watch the channel, you probably know I'm kind of a bit of a church freak, the band. So I'm trying not to load up all these shows on like Marty and Steve's solo records. I can't promise that I won't, but anyway, this is a very good record. It has 19 tracks, and I believe that the second half of the record is the better half. He did get a minor hit single out of it with She Is King, um, but there are a good amount of good songs on here. Number 20 is going to be Peter Murphy with Love Hysteria. Um, Even though there's some questionable production choices on this record, when I say that, I mean, when you listen to it, there's some stuff on here that sounds a little bit outdated, which is kind of rare for a Peter Murphy record. I do believe that the good songs on here are actually really good, namely the singles All Night Long and Indigo Eyes. Um, but I think this record really serves as a bridge for what was going to be his next record. Number 19 is going to be Nothing Shocking by Jane's Addiction. So when this record came out, I think it was pretty safe to say I was pretty obsessed with it. Um, it was just rock enough for the 14-year-old me to relate to it and just weird enough for me to find it interesting. I may not love it as much as I once did, but as overplayed as it is, Jane Says is really a wonderful song and some of the best lyrics of any rock song of the decade. Still, it really is a great song. Number 18 is going to be Dream of Life by Patti Smith. So after a 9-year hiatus from recording, Patti finally decides to join the 80s. The critics kind of slammed this record when it came out, which I really don't get. It's totally Patti. It's totally honest, just like everything else she's done. It's a very good record. The title track is very good. Um, Going Under, the Jackson song, all some of the really good highlights from the record. But on the whole, it's a very solid album. Number 17 is going to be Fisherman's Blues by the Waterboys. On this record, the Waterboys jump from rock to a kind of a folk country rock. Um, on what is this, I guess, their fourth album, right? But it really sounds like it comes natural to them. It doesn't sound like it's a stretch. Um, the title track is great. Strange Boat is great. World Party is a very good song. And When Ye Go Away is also great, all great tracks. Number 16 is going to be Green by R.E.M. So before prepping for this video, I had not listened to this album in decades. Easily at least 10 years, probably longer. Um, I pretty much let go of REM after the IRS years. I'm one of those guys, but I'm pretty surprised at how much I liked Green this time around. Hair Shirt is a great song. Turn You Inside Out, You Are the Everything, I Remember California, all very good. Even Pop Song and Stand, which used to irritate the hell out of me back in the day, I kind of enjoyed this time around. Orange Crush was always a cool song, but I didn't realize how much REM, especially Michael Stipe's, was influenced by Patti Smith until I kind of was listening to this just now. There's still quite a bit of grit on this record. Maybe it's a little bit of misguided nostalgia on my part. Maybe I was just being a stick in the mud when it came out because they'd signed with a major label. I don't know. But I like this record. So far, there's at least one non-IRS REM record that I like. But I guess we'll see going forward if my mind's changed on any of the other ones. Number 15 is Red Lorry, Yellow Lorry with Nothing Wrong. I find this group to be really interesting. I always did. Their sound is very unique. The chord structures in their songs are very different. Even though it's not as aggressive as the first record, it's still great. She Said and Do You Understand are my personal favorites of the album. Number 14 is going to be The Nephilim by Fields of the Nephilim. Yeah, on the surface, the Nephilim may seem kind of schlock. But the truth is, this record contains some really good songwriting. Musically, they may sound like Sisters of Mercy meets Iron Maiden meets ZZ Top or something, but ends up sounding like something unique. They really set themselves apart from a lot of their peers at the time. The first half of the record is very good with The Watchmen and Moonchild, but it's the second half of the record that really hits home for me. Shiva, Love Under Will, Last Exit for the Lost, and especially my favorite Nephilim song is Celebrate. This record is very much a fall fire pit classic. Number 13 is going to be Today by Galaxy 500. This is a very cool record. I've always believed that, since I guess the first time I heard it, beginning of college, I guess. So I was a little bit behind, but I was 14 in 1988. Lots of sparse arrangements, reverb and delay out the wazoo. There's a very heavy Velvet's influence on this record, but they put enough of their own stamp on it to pull it off. Number 12 is House Tornado by Throwing Muses. It's another really solid record by Throwing Muses. Interesting song structures, interesting melodies throughout. Um, Although Kristen and Tanya will pretty much get the most of the focus for Throwing Muses, and rightfully so. Um, the band's original rhythm section of David and Leslie really, really shine on this record. Number 11 is Daydream Nation by Sonic Youth. Considered by some to be the indie Sgt. Pepper. Um, this double album hit the underground like a tidal wave when it came out. It's definitely where they started to hit their stride, their peak. Um, I do like most of the album. I don't like every song on the album, but as long as it is, I do like more than half of it. And I have realized the influence of the record, and I do like it more now than I did then, believe it or not. Silver Rocket, Total Trash, and Candle are my three favorite songs on the album. Number 10 is Children by The Mission. The Mission recorded their sophomore record with none other than John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin on production duties, um, which I guess could be why the record leans more into the rock vein than their debut, God's Own Medicine, but still has that mysterious mist that hangs over the record. The opener, Beyond the Pale, became a Mission Live staple, along with the epic Tower of Strength. To me, Wayne Hussey is just a great singer and great frontman. I've seen them multiple times. If you haven't got a chance to see the Mission live, definitely do so. And yet another great Mission record. Number 9 is Wire with a belt as a cup until it struck. Wire continued their second renaissance they had going on in the 80s, just after coming back after 6 years with Ideal Copy in 1985. This record explores even more guitar and rhythm textures while also expanding on their melodic palette. Silk Skin Paws, Free Falling Divisions, and It's a Boy are definite standouts for me. Number 8 is Spirit of Eden by Talk Talk. This record was a bit hard for me to place. I really like it a lot, but I have to really be in the mood to listen to it. Because when my first draft, this record was much lower. I listened to it. I was like, yeah, no, I gotta bring this up. Um, there is really no mistaking the beauty of Spirit of Eden. The incredible transformation from synth pop group to post rock pioneers was quite a 4-year leap. Mark Hollis really insisted on bringing out the best in his bandmates here, even if it meant day-long recording sessions in a pitch black, dark studio with no lights. Um, but the results, I think, speak for themselves. The tracks are long, but it works. Eden and Inheritance are my two favorites. Um, People are puzzled as to why this didn't sell. And in retrospect, it's kind of easy to say that. But thinking about what was big at the time, there was really no way something like this was going to sell in 1988. It was just way too ahead of its time. Number 7 is Tender Prey by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This is Nick and Blixa and crew right smack in the middle of their songwriting peak, I believe. Not only are there classics on here like Mercy Seat and Deanna, but the album tracks like City of Refuge and Mercy and Slowly Goes the Night and Sugar, Sugar, Sugar. If someone is looking to get acquainted with the classic era of the Bad Seeds, this and Your Funeral is where I would steer them, because this is really that sweet spot right there for the classic lineup, I think. Number 6 is the first self-titled album by House of Love. This is the first self-titled one to be not fans of House of Love kind of call this one Creation because it was the one on Creation Records. The second one is generally Fontana. because of the label that it was on. But this record is so freaking good. It's dreamy, it floats on the air, it rocks in all the right places. It's catchy as hell, and every song sticks in your head. The guitar tones on this record are perfect. Guy Chadwick is a professional songwriter, which to me is one of the highest praises you can give a songwriter. Um, the whole record is excellent, but for me, I'll go with Road, Sulfur, and Love in a Car. Love in a Car is a stunner. That's probably my favorite song in the record. House of Love is a great band. If you haven't ever heard of them, if you're watching this, you probably have, but if you haven't, definitely go check them out. Number 5 is going to be Viva Hate by Morrissey, released a mere 6 months after Strange Ways, the final Smiths record. Morrissey collaborated with Smith's producer, Stephen Street, for a shockingly good set of songs. There's not much drop off here from the Smiths records. Morrissey still performs quite a bit of this record in his sets today. Suede Head, Every Day is Like Sunday, Little Man, What Now, Angel, Alsatian Cousin. I mean, I could list the whole record. It's an incredible debut album for Morrissey. Number 4 is going to be Starfish by The Church. So this record begins a new phase in The Church's career. They get a bigger production budget. They garner a massive hit single with Under the Milky Way and move forward with a bigger, fuller sound while maintaining their own DNA. Like most Americans my age, it was the first Church record that I heard and the first Church record that I bought. And also, like most Americans my age, it was a fucking bitch to find their other records. But it was well worth it when I found all of them. Obviously, Under the Milky Way, Reptile, Destination is a great song, North, South, East, West, and of course, the awesome Hotel Room. To me, this record is an absolute classic. Number 3 is Bluebell Knoll by Cocteau Twins. I'm not sure where I would rank Bluebell Knoll in the Cocteau's discography, but it would be up there near the top. It's truly majestic. Robin Guthrie is just a magician with a guitar. Liz Fraser is otherworldly. I bought this record in 1993, so it blows my mind that it was released in 1988. So ahead of its time. I mean, you listen to it, it sounds like it's a early to mid 90s record. But Carolyn's Fingers, The Itchy Globo Blow, these titles of these freaking songs, Chico Buff are all standouts, but the whole record is just a beautiful journey. Number 2 is Peep Show by Susie and the Banshees. So the Banshees lose yet another guitarist. This time they enlist former specimen guitarist John Klein and bring in multi-instrumentalist and 4AD all-star Martin McCarrick, making the Banshees a 5-piece, which at one point would have thought unthinkable. It's a slicker, more lushly produced Banshees, but it's still the Banshees. The production style reminds me of like the Brian Ferry records of the era. Susie's vocals are at peak strength here, the highest highs, the most powerful lows. Stephen and Budgie put in their tightest rhythm section performance on this record. And the songs, The Killing Jar, Ornaments of Gold, Turn to Stone, are all great tracks. I was never a big fan of Peekaboo, even to this day. I don't know why, but it just never touched me. But Scarecrow and Rhapsody are a couple of my all-time favorite Banshee songs. Goosebumps, both of them, great songs. And the number 1 album for 1988 for me is going to be Isn't Anything by My Bloody Valentine. So this is the first full-length release by My Bloody Valentine. It's a beautiful cacophony of woozy noise. Though I know they were mostly known for Loveless, Isn't Anything is a masterpiece in its own right. Um, it's more raucous, a little bit more heavier and aggressive than Loveless. The vocals are a lot more audible. Um, but so is the noise in a very strange way. Lose My Breath is in contention for possibly my favorite My Bloody Valentine track. It's brooding in all the verses, gorgeous in the wordless choruses, with a swirling guitar backing the strumming acoustic, while Belinda delivers a stunning, beautiful vocal. Um, when You Wake, You're Still in a Dream. It's the hardest rocking song in the record, with Kevin Shields' incredible ability to play the tremolo bar with exact precision throughout the song. No More Sorry sounds like a full orchestra in the background, but it's nothing but guitars. Um, layers and layers of Kevin Shields guitars. And All I Need is sweeping and hypnotizing. And just generally the whole record. I think this record was absolutely revolutionary, especially as far as guitar playing is concerned. Um, and the funny thing is where are we now? 2024 going into 2025. And so we're looking at 36 years in My Bloody Valentine are way bigger now than they were when this record came out. And they deserve it. They deserve that success. So that's it. That's 1988 in a nutshell for me. Some also rans that didn't quite make the list for me were debut Danzig record, Life's Too Good by the Sugar Cubes, Bug by Dinosaur Jr., Eight-Legged Groove Machine by Wonder Stuff, Introspective by Pet Shop Boys, All About Eve's self-titled album, and Serpent's Egg by Dead Can Dance. So let me know what you think of my list. Leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed watching the video. Hit us up in all of our social media. There'll be links in the description below. We'll be coming up with our Psychedelic Furs album ranking coming up very soon. I think it's next weekend or the weekend after. And we're going to be continuing with the 70s also. We're going to be doing the top 25 albums of 1972 coming up, which is one of my most favorite years in music of all time. So that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Dead End Street.